Hey, Michael here with Success for Others, and today I want to talk a little bit about product mix, okay? First, let's start with this. If you find that a majority of your sales are going to be in that 14 SEER range, then I can tell you this for sure. You're not educating your customers on all the options available to them. Now, I know that's hard, and I know sometimes the first thing we want to do, the first line of defense is justify why we sell a majority of 14 SEER air conditioners. But if you look at the unitary shipments across North America, it is dominated by 13 and 14 SEER pieces of equipment, which is just wrong, quite frankly, regardless of what marketplace you live in. The reason why we go there is because we're pigeonholed into price. Now, you've heard this before. You know it's not about price, it's about value and benefits and all this stuff. And you know what? I don't care about any of that crap. All I'm saying is that your customers are not being educated enough as to how they can benefit from things other than a 14 SEER system, and that's why they're picking the 14 SEER. And that's why it comes down, quite frankly, to price. Because we all know, I mean, if you look in the mirror or even look out your window, you know and I know that people do not base their buying habits on price alone. It doesn't happen. If we did, everybody would be driving a Kia, and they're not. So it's not about price. You know, you're not wearing Velcro sneakers from Walmart, nor are your customers, most of them. So at the end of the day, it's not about price. You know, Nike sneakers, they don't make you run any faster. You're not going to jump any higher, but you'll spend $150, $200 on a pair of sneakers or tennis shoes than you would if you could buy you could buy tennis shoes at Walmart or, you know, DSW or wherever you shop for your shoes for 30, 40 bucks. So if it really was about price, then people would not buy Nikes. They would not buy Under Armour. They would not buy Reebok. They wouldn't buy any of this stuff. They wouldn't be driving in Cadillacs and Jaguars and Lexus and Acuras and all these different vehicles. What it comes down to is they don't understand the difference. They don't understand the benefits associated with these higher end pieces of equipment. And let's face it, it's an air conditioner. It's a furnace. It's not real fun. It's not a sexy purchase, right? It's just, gosh darn it, my air conditioner broke. I need to buy a new one. What's the cheapest thing I can do? Some people, but it's going to be less than 20%, shop that way. Not everybody. So if a dominant portion of your product mix is 14 SEER or below, then I'm going to challenge you today and say, listen, we're not doing a good job of really educating the customers on all their options and how they're going to benefit from it. So it starts like this. First of all, you have to do a great job of understanding and uncovering what your customers' needs, wants, and desires are. I call them pains. What are the customer's pain points? There's only 5 pain points. I've done previous videos on customers' pains or on the reasons why people buy. And if you haven't watched that, then you probably should before you move any further. So let's assume you have accurately identified what's important to your customer. At that point, you should give 3 to 4 options. I'm going to tell you, give 4 options. Your top tier is going to be your modulating compressors. That's going to be 3 stages of cooling or heating or above. So anything 3 stages or above, it could have 8 stages, it could have 65 stages, it could have 100 stages, but 3 stages or above, a modulating compressor, that should be the first option you lay out to a customer. From there, you're going to go to a 2-stage system, which is still going to be considered a high efficiency system. It's going to have 2 stages of operations. Then you're going to go to a single stage product, but a mid to upper SEER. So this could be something between 15, 16 SEER up to 18, 19 SEER, single stage, mid to upper efficiency piece of equipment. And then your final 4th option should be your 14 SEER system. Okay? So that way when you lay out to your customer the benefits of all 4 options, start here and work your way down. Now the way we do that is we do it through what's called a takeaway. So you're going to list all the benefits, not the features, the benefits of a modulating system. Now what are those benefits? Well, I guess to uncover the benefits, you have to first identify the feature, which is going to be the modulating compressor itself, right? So if I'm going to invest in a modulating compressor, I'm going to get a number of benefits from that. And the first is going to be the ultimate and comfort control, the ultimate comfort system, the ultimate temperature control, whatever you want to call it, but it's going to give me the most precise temperature control from room to room to room in my house, allowable, more so than any other system on the market, just by the way that it runs. The more stages I have, the longer the run cycles are going to be, the less hot and cold the house is going to feel, and the more even those temperatures are going to be from room to room to room. So that's benefit number 1. Benefit number 2 is better dehumidification. It's going to get out more moisture because the run cycle is going to be longer. It's going to be running as a smaller air conditioner majority of the time, and it's going to do a much better job of dehumidifying. And then the final benefit, if you will, is going to be the energy savings, of course, the utility savings. I don't want to lead with that because customers don't buy based on energy savings. We think that they buy based on energy savings, and that's what all the brochures are going to say, most efficient air conditioner, and cut your utility bills in half. Well, you and I aren't going to promise that we're going to cut their utility bills in half, nor can we. So why are we leading with that? No air conditioner that a customer purchases today, in my mind, is going to pay them back 100% on that investment. I don't care if they buy a 14 SEER or they buy a 50 SEER. It doesn't matter. It's not going to pay them back that investment. So you can't justify it on an ROI. You can't justify it on an efficiency standpoint alone. Now, it is a cherry on top, and it should be used as that. The biggest benefits of a modulating compressor is going to be that it's A, most precise temperature control from room to room, B, most dehumidification possible, and C, utility savings. So those are the three that we want to hit when we talk about modulating. Then when we go down to a 2-stage, all we're going to do is do a takeaway like I talked about earlier. So it's not going to deliver as precise temperature controls, is it? Of course not. It only has 2 stages versus 8 or 100. So it's not going to run quite as much. It's not going to have the flexibility of a modulating compressor. So this is only going to have 2-stage system. It's only going to have 2 stages of a compressor. So it's going to have a small compressor or a big compressor based on the weather outside, the thermostat set point, and all the things that the customer doesn't worry about, but we know how this thing already operates. So the takeaway is listen, you're giving up with this next system we're going to talk about. This is only a 2-stage unit. So you're giving up X number of stages as comparison to that first one we talked about. So all that means to you, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, is it's not going to deliver as precise temperature controls. It's not going to deliver the quite as much dehumidification as that first unit we talked about, and it's not going to reduce your utility bills as much as that first system we talked about. It's still a great unit. It's still a phenomenal unit. Now, takeaways can get really powerful, so be careful how hard you hit people with takeaways, because when I go from a 20-stage air conditioner down to a 2, it's going to sound something like, well, now this next next air conditioner we talk about is only a 2-stage system, so you're going to give up 18 stages of cooling. That's a big takeaway, right? So you got to kind of soften it up a little bit. Now listen, it's going to be much better than what you have right now, because what you have now is either all the way on or it's all the way off. But you are giving up some of your dehumidification capability, so it's not going to be quite as dry or crisp of air that you're going to feel throughout the house, and you are giving up some of that temperature control, or that precision temperature control from room to room to room throughout the house, because the run cycles are going to be shorter. It is still going to save you energy as compared to your existing system, because it's not all the way on or all the way off. This is a small air conditioner and a small compressor and a big compressor, so it can run as a small unit or as a big unit based on the temperature. So of course it's going to be probably perfectly sized for your house about 70-80% of the time. So it's still much better than what you got right now. Then you can go down to your single stage mid to upper SEER. And then you can just talk about that. Now, this is only a single stage unit, so it is just like what you have right now. Now, I'm comparing a mid to high-end efficiency piece of equipment to what they have right now. Kind of crazy, isn't it? But now again, you don't want to kick him too hard. You don't want to kick him in the teeth, if you will, or make this sound too bad, because you don't want to guilt anybody into any air conditioner, but you do want to make sure they fully understand what they're giving up and what they're losing. So now this air conditioner is just like the one you have right now, but it's either all the way on or it's all the way off. But understand, make no mistake about it, this is one of the most efficient single-stage air conditioners money can buy. So it is going to save you some money on your utility bill. It's going to be much quieter than what you have right now, and it's going to deliver great temperature control throughout the house, just not nearly as precise as those first 2 units we talked about, and it's still going to dehumidify your house, just not as thoroughly as those first 2 options we talked about. And then the final option you're going to talk about is the 14 SEER option. Now this is don't ever say builder's grade, entry level, whatever, Kia or whatever. Don't use car references here. Don't use hood ornaments on cars for any of them. Don't tell somebody this is the Maserati of air conditioners, or the Bentley or the Mercedes or the Cadillac. The reason being is some people can't ever envision themselves driving one of those cars. They're the people that are telling themselves, listen, even if I had all this money, I would never buy a Maserati. Well, that's fine and good, but if they can't envision themselves in that car that you referenced, then they're never going to envision themselves in this piece of equipment. So don't set yourself up for that either. So the final air conditioner we're going to discuss today is going to be also a single stage air conditioner, just like what you have now. And this is more or less a system that's been designed to today's minimum efficiency standards. Still a great unit. It's not going to be nearly as quiet or nearly as efficient as these other ones we talked about, but it's still a great option and something for you to consider. That way you've just given them the whole spectrum of equipment. They now can make the decision as to what's right for them. And we're going to do this with all the features of the equipment. So it could go from compressor, which is all we talked about. With all 4 products, we just talked about the compressor. What about noise? What about silent technologies, or whatever you call them, right? I mean, the most expensive air conditioner would be the quietest air conditioner in almost every case. So talk about the noise on that. Then, you've got maybe some have, World Wide Web capable thermostats or Wi-Fi enabled thermostats. You can talk about that. What happens if they don't get a Wi-Fi thermostat when they go down to your single stage mid to upper efficiency unit? Well, that's another takeaway, isn't it? The noise is going to be another takeaway as you go down the product mix. See, the whole point is you want to list out all your features of your best air conditioner, your best product offering, all the features, and then break them down into the benefits for each one of those features. And it should be multiple benefits, and they should be tied around, indoor air quality or dust control, comfort, noise, efficiency, health, safety, something along those lines. It should tie into those. So that way when we go down the product notch, we're just going to take away from those key areas. Now, if you did that with all your customers, I can guarantee you that your product mix is going to go up. It's not all going to be 14 SEER. And here's the other thing you need to really understand. If your customer is just looking for a 14 SEER unit and just looking for the cheapest price possible, there's 2 things. Number one, it's not your ideal customer. Because we all know the people that spend the least amount of money are not the most loyal, and they're not the happiest afterwards. But it's on the other side of that, the people that do spend the most money in our company, the $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a new air conditioning system, they love you. They're completely stoked. They're jacked, and they're telling everybody about it. Why is that? Because you change the quality of their life. You change the way the system works in their house. Their house is a completely different place than what it was prior and what it was with their old air conditioning system. So that's the goal when we install a new air conditioner is to create as much change as possible so the customer can then recognize that change after your installers leave and be like, man, this room's never been quite this comfortable. Man, I can't even hear the system run. Wow, my utility bills are lower than what I thought they've ever been. Man, it just seems cleaner in here. It smells different in here. Whatever it is, the more senses we can bring in after our installation in terms of difference and improvements, the more loyal the customers are that we have, and the more they tell their friends about it, the more they tell their neighbors and all of that, which drives referrals. And here's the final piece to this. If somebody spends $15,000 or $20,000 on a new air conditioning system and then tells all their neighbors or all their church mates about it, they're going to ask in that conversation, hey, what did you end up spending on this system? And they're going to price condition your referrals for you. They're going to say, well, we spent right around $15,000. I mean, they had options for $20,000, but we went with the $15,000 option. Now, if that person picks up the phone and calls your company to get an estimate from you, they've already been price conditioned, and they've already had one of their friends or coworkers or whatever have you talking about you guys very, very, very highly. So you're already in the lead, and they're already expecting this to be thousands and thousands of dollars. So don't go in there and offer a $6,000 or a $7,000 or $8,000 option only. Don't pigeonhole your customers. So again, when we talk about product mix, you have to start with modulating, 2-stage, single stage, mid to upper SEER, and then your entry-level stuff, but don't ever call it entry-level stuff. The stuff that's, the final option here is a 14 SEER unit. Now this is, the final air conditioner we're going to talk today about is, basically an air conditioner just like the one you have now, just manufactured today's specifications and the industry minimums. So that way they know exactly what they're getting, and you're not leaving anything on the table. The reality is if you're only $1,000 or $1,500 in your competitors, if you're only higher by $1,000, there's really no difference in the customer's mind. They're looking at like to like, apples to apples, whatever you want to call it. When you're $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 higher than all your other competitive bids that are on the table, guess what? Customer sits back and goes, what are you doing different? Something's different here. What's up? And that's the position you want to be in. Let the customer take you down if that's truly where they want to go. But we don't do a good job of educating them on all the benefits associated with these higher end pieces of equipment. and we don't believe in them ourselves, so therefore we don't talk about them. Oh, they're complex, I don't want to say. That's all crap. Those are all excuses as to why you're not talking about it. I'll tell you this, your sales will go up, your income will go up, your profitability will go up, and your customer loyalty and satisfaction will go up if you get out of the 14 SEER product mix and start moving your customers up along the way. So that's all I got for you this week. I hope it helps. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you so much for tuning in.